Hi, you may not be aware of my situation, but I want to put this out there for anyone who goes through a similar situation to what I've been through or may go through, and hope that you never do. This beautiful little baby right here is my dog Chico. I'm going to try to get through this without crying. On March 17th of this year, 2025, on St. Patrick's Day, my little precious baby was on my property on what I call a bungee. So we don't have a fenced-in backyard, but it's at our business. He's not housebroken. We tried to housebreak him, and we put diapers on him, and he just lifts his leg every time he comes inside. So I didn't want to put diapers on him and hurt his soul. So what I do is that, periodically I take him outside, and if I'm busy at our business, I'll leave him in the back on the bungee just for an hour, just to get some sunshine, and use the restroom. On this particular day, I had put him outside, and I was inside and had been working on some taxes when a lady comes running through the front door and says, "Ma'am, someone is outside beating your dog." I did not hear that. I heard someone's outside beating my dog, and I stood up and I said, "Your dog, where?" She said, "No, ma'am, I've got video on my phone. You don't understand. It's your dog." And she turns her phone around, and I have the video, which I'm not going to put it on here. But I have to see the video, and I see where the boy is standing, and he's in the back of our property, and it's at least 75 feet from the road. So he trespassed onto the property. I'll go into more detail, but he premeditated, he stalked, and he beat my vulnerable little 3-pound, 7-year-old baby to death. It was brutal. And so when I realized what she was talking about, it was like time stood still. I stood up. I got to the phone, called 911, and the police came, and my husband went around to the back, and I didn't want to see what happened, so I stood in the front with the officer, and I gauged my feelings off of my husband. So when he came around the corner and I could see the look on his face, I knew it was bad. So I immediately said, "I want to press charges when you find this person." So the neighbor showed the police officer the video. He knew exactly who it was, because he just passed the person walking down the street. So we kind of waited, and I was hysterical. And anyway, when he found the young boy, who was 11 years old, he supposedly tried to act like he didn't know what English was, and tried to act like he didn't understand what was being asked of him. And so they took him to the police station. So the officer came back to follow up with us, because we had no idea what was going on. And he said that the boy was 11 and that he had showed no remorse. The police officer asked him if he was sorry for what he did, and he said no. So that compounded what I was already feeling. My husband took crime scene photos of our own. I wanted it for our documentation. I've not ever looked at them. I just recently looked at the video because I needed to watch it. You don't physically see him beating the dog, but you see him with the club, and it looks like he pokes the dog. There's a partition fence and a tree in the way, but you can see him. And then you see him walking down the street with no remorse, lack of his surroundings. He's not even aware, and it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And he just walks down the street with the murder weapon in his hand, and it looks to me like he's got a souvenir. He is really admiring something that he took from the back of our property, which I prayed to God it was not a piece of my dog. But like I said, I just recently watched the video, and today is June 20th, so it's been months. Okay, so just giving you a little background about this story about my baby. So I was devastated, and to say the least, and I wanted to be a part of the court proceedings, whatever was going to happen. And they charged the grandmother who was watching him. He didn't live in our neighborhood, supposedly, but he was visiting. And they charged the grandmother with neglect, like a misdemeanor. And so I was subpoenaed by the court. I'm just going to flash it up. This was the subpoena that I received. And it was subpoenaed me and my husband to come to court on May 1st. This happened on March 17th. So on May 1st, we were supposed to arrive at court, but I was supposed to contact the attorney, prosecuting attorney, a day or two before. So when I called, there's a man and a woman. The lady answered. Oh, well, she called me back. I left a voicemail. She called me back, and she advised me, because I was like, hey, what do I need to bring? I'm ready to go. I've got my victim impact statement ready. I'm thinking I'm coming in, and I just needed to be able to say how I felt and what it did to me for my baby, and defend him. And she advised me that it was an adjudication, and that term I'd never heard before, so I'm not acting like I know this word. I didn't, but it's adjudication hearing, and that he was already admitting to being guilty, and that actually there was no reason I could come. I was more than welcome to come. She wanted to make sure I knew that, but I wasn't going to be admitted into court. It was going to be, she didn't say a waste of time, but she was telling me why I shouldn't come, and told me that they were moving. Now I live in Forest County. They were moving the trial or case to Perry County. And I said, Perry County? Why? It happened in Forest County. Why would they move it? Oh, well, they do that for the juveniles. They move it close to their home. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, okay, I'm the victim. My baby was brutally murdered, but we're going to accommodate the murderer's family. Okay. And I mean, like, I get pretty sarcastic about it, because it really upsets me. And so I didn't understand that, but okay, I guess that's the way court works. So she advised me to contact Perry County Court in Mississippi to find out, to let them know, I wanted to be involved. I wanted the judge to see the pictures, the video. I wanted to give it, a victim impact statement. She said, don't call today or tomorrow. Call, or call within a couple of days. So within a week, I reached out and I talked to a woman that was there, and I know her name. I'm not going to say her name. And she said that she was from the coast, and she had just been moved to Perry County to handle these cases. And she's not the judge, but she handles the youth court. And so I'm telling her the backstory, and I'm like, look, well, she tells me that the judge had not even signed off on it. She knew what I was talking about after I explained it to her, but he had not signed off. And I said, well, please let me know, because I want to be involved. I want to give a victim impact statement. And she told me that, well, you may not get a chance to speak, so make sure you have something in writing to give to the judge. And I said, well, I want him to look at those pictures and the video. So she assured me, yeah, that was going to happen. So I've been waiting to be subpoenaed, and I don't see a subpoena show up. I don't see a subpoena show up. So Wednesday of this week, today is June 20th, I decided I need to call. I mean, it's been weeks. I need to call and find out what's going on. So I called and spoke to the woman, and she informed me that court was being held on that day. What are the odds of me calling on the day that court was being held? And I was driving at the time, and I became manic, frantic. I told her, I hope I was hearing her wrong, because she knew that I wanted to be there, and I wanted to give a victim impact statement. But then so as I'm driving, I had to pull over, and these are my frantic notes that I wrote. Frantic. I'm just writing all over this piece of paper. Luckily, I had a piece of paper in my hand. And she said, well, do you want restitution? And I said, I don't know what I want. You're asking me these questions. I just heard some devastating news. I can't answer any questions. I don't know. Then she says, so you don't want restitution? And I said, ma'am, don't patronize me. Please don't be condescending. I am trying to process what you're telling me, and I cannot believe that they're having court without me. So she says, well, maybe I can get with the judge and I can call you back. And I'm like, so she calls me back, and they had already had court, and they had basically given him probation and counseling. And what she told me was counseling once a month with her. And when I called her out on it, then she was like, no, I didn't say that. So I am devastated. I said, I asked, did he get a psychological evaluation? And she said no. So when I think about this, if you notice on here, it talks about Buddy's Law. Buddy's Law in Mississippi. It was amended, I think, back in 22. And this isn't the amendment here. And so it says, the provisions of this section shall be known to be cited as Buddy's Law. And so I've taken out some excerpts just to save time. But on line 78 it says, or 77, the person convicted, which would be the person that murdered my baby, receives a psychiatric or psychological evaluation and counseling or treatment for a length of time prescribed by the court. He didn't get a psychological evaluation. They just went ahead and ruled. The very last statement of the bill says, to amend Section 974116, Mississippi Code of 1972, to rename the section Buddy's Law to require a child adjudicated delinquent under this section to receive a psychiatric evaluation and counseling or treatment for a length of time prescribed by the youth court. That didn't happen. So it is. I've started researching a little further. So I was so devastated that the woman called me back and said that court, now they're going to reinstate court again. So I get a chance to come. But it's like already over with. So what good does my victim impact statement do if you already had court and the decision has already been made for him? So just to give you a little idea, I looked up some serial killers top 10 serial killers that abused animals. And this is one of the lists that I came up with. I've got other lists too, but Jeffrey Dahmer, he decapitated dogs and impaled frogs and cats with sticks. Ted Bundy, he tortured animals as a child. Albert DeSalvo, he trapped dogs and cats and shot arrows at them. Dennis Rader, the BTK killer, he wrote about hanging a dog and a cat in childhood. Edmund Kemper began torturing cats at age 13. David Berkowitz, son of Sam, began torturing animals before age 10. Henry Lee Lucas tortured animals severely as a child. Charles Manson tortured animals as satanic sacrifices. Keith Jesperson, the happy face killer, he tortured and killed animals starting at an early age. When I look at this, and I take this into consideration, I've started doing way more research than I ever wanted to do. A magazine called Psychology Today. In one of their articles, they said that torturing an animal or killing them at an early age is a red flag for psychopathy. So this is the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, the DSM-5. This is what psychologists use when they are determining a diagnosis for someone who shows mental illnesses. And the reason why I have this book is because I'm a psychometrist. So I conduct evaluations myself. I'm with the school district, but when we're looking at the disabilities categories in our school district or in the state of Mississippi, emotional disability is one of them. And if I had a student that was had this happen, and that was having some difficulties at school, academically or behaviorally, and we needed to look at emotional disability, our psychologist would look at him. So under the at a certain age, if a child is under the age of 18, this could be considered what torturing animals. And you think, oh, what category does that fall under? It would fall under conduct disorder. And so I looked it up in the DSM. It's right here. I've got like little notes out here, and it says that the child would have to meet 3 of the following 15 criteria in the past 12 months to be considered conduct disorder. Now, if conduct disorder is not treated with intense therapy, and you have to have a psychological evaluation first to determine what the function of the behavior is, why it's happening or why that happens. If you don't do a psychological evaluation, you can't start treating the person. But number 3 right here, I highlighted it, has used a weapon that can cause serious physical harm to others, like a bat, a brick, broken bottle, knife, gun. I've got video with the club in his hand, because that's one he meets. Has been physically cruel to animals. 2. Has deliberately destroyed others' property. 3. We're already met 3, and we're not even close to this. Serious violations of rules. The disturbance in behavior causes clinically significant impairment in social. Well, that's clinically significant. So he made it not just a bad decision. He was unaware of his surroundings, because he's in broad daylight. There's houses all around. My neighbor videoed him. There's four determinations of pro-social emotions. So lack of remorse. Well, the officer said he had no remorse. It didn't bother him. Callous, lack of empathy. He didn't put himself in the situation of the animal, take into consideration my little baby. Unconcerned about performance. And then shallow effect. There's three severity areas: mild, moderate, severe. Well, I highlighted severe because many conduct problems in excess of those required to make the diagnosis are present. Or conduct problems cause considerable harm to others. And it's forced sex, physical cruelty, use of a weapon, stealing while confronting a victim, breaking and entering. So physical cruelty and then use of a weapon. He met that criteria there. If left untreated, if a conduct disorder, I'm not saying he is, but if he has psychological evaluation, then we would know. If he is considered to have a conduct disorder and he doesn't receive intensive therapy or treatment, it's going to manifest itself into an antisocial disorder, which becomes a menace to, it can become a menace to society. He has to do with theft. It could be rape, murder, setting fires, things like that. So I want him to get help, and I hope that this video helps other people. I can follow up about what happens in court. We're supposed to go on July 2nd at 11 o'clock, but I feel like it's like a want moment because everything's already been decided. They're only coming back for me. I feel like it's going to be a lot of eye rolling, like, here she goes. She's going to have to say or ever say, but I want justice for Chico, and I hope everybody else does too. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video.